Welcome to Disc Golf Down Under, it's Matt here. Now, one of the negatives of living down under is that it takes a little longer for new discs to make their way around the world to our wonderful land. In July of this year, MVP released a new mid-range called the Axiom Hex, and boy was it popular, topping the Infinite Disc sales list for July 2021. And the hype was huge with statements of best mid-range out there and better than the Buzzz. Well, for the past few months, I've been playing a lot with these babies, and I think I can say I've got plenty of experience to review the Hex. So, is it the best mid-range ever? Is it better than the Buzzz? Let's go head to head and see who wins in the Discraft Buzzz versus Axiom Hex battle. Okay, for those that are new to my channel, this is an honest review based on my experiences with the disc. I have no affiliation with MVP or disc golf retailers. And unlike other channels that get brand new discs, throw them a handful of times and smash out a review, I like to play with the disc for a couple of months first to get a true feel for the disc and see how it seasons in. And I can definitely say I've got loads of experience with the Hex. I started out with this max weight one to begin with, before picking up this special edition Skullboy. Then Mrs. Down Under tried it out and demanded that I buy another two for her. So we got another two for her, and then the boys wanted another two. So 6 hexes in total. And I've thrown this Skullboy special edition at least 200 to 300 times, and Mrs. Down Under has thrown her pink purple one probably even more so. So 2 almost brand new, 2 partially seasoned, and 2 almost fully broken in. And just so you know, I also have 3 Buzzz in various plastics as well. And I used to play a lot of disc golf with the Buzzz before I switched exclusively to MVP. And this one was one of my favorite discs. Now the Hex is a straight, stable mid-range disc released in mid-2021 under the Axiom brand. MVP claimed the Hex is a versatile and reliably straight mid-range, and it comes into the MVP family as a replacement for the MVP Axis, which was retired in 2020. As with all Axiom discs, this is an overmold disc. The core with the flight plate and part of the rim is molded first, followed by the coloured rim on the outside of the disc. If you want to know why MVP do this, then check out my video on MVP, Axiom and Streamline discs. Now let's look at the specifications for both discs, starting with the Hex. So the Hex has a diameter of 214 millimeters, a rim width of 13 millimeters, a maximum height of 16 millimeters, a rim height of 13 millimeters, and it currently comes in a weight range from 165 to 179 grams. And the flight rating is 5, 5, -1, 1, which is the same as the outgoing MVP Axis. At present, the Hex is only available in Neutron plastic, but based on its popularity, we can expect to see it available in other plastic blends very soon. Now, in comparison, our reigning champ, the Buzzz, was released by Discraft in 2003. It has a slightly larger diameter at 217 millimeters, a rim width of 12 millimeters, a maximum height of 19 millimeters, which is considerably higher than the Hex, a rim height of 13 millimeters, which is the same, and it comes in a very similar weight range of 165 to 180 grams. The flight rating of the Buzzz is 5, 4, -1 and 1. So that's 1 less glide than the Hex. Now the Buzzz is available in just about every Discraft plastic blend except Jawbreaker and Z-Lite. It would have to be a contender for the biggest selling golf disc of all time. Comparing the disc profiles, they are similar, but the Hex has a lower parting line height and a more curved top edge. The inside profiles are almost identical, and in the hand, they almost feel identical. For the flight test today, I'll be throwing a 174 gram Buzzz in Z plastic that I've had for a number of years, and it's well and truly broken in. I've also got 2 brand new Hexes, which are basically out of the box, one one at 172 grams and the other at 174 grams. I then have two partially seasoned hexes. One is 170 grams and the other is 178 grams. These both have around 50 to 100 throws on them. And then finally we have two seasoned hexes, this pink and purple beauty at 169 grams, the lightest of all six, and this special edition Skullboy at a max weight of 179 grams. And finally for comparison, I have a 179 gram Proton Matrix. I did have an Axis as well, but I was not a fan, bit too flippy for me, and I didn't like the feel in the hand. Now I'll be throwing into a slight headwind to a basket at around 80 meters and perhaps 1 meter uphill, and I'm throwing at about 80% power. For me, this is the sweet spot distance for my mid-ranges. As you can probably tell, the Axiom Hex is a popular disc in the Disc Golf Down Under household. I've mentioned previously that I like laser straight discs with minimal turn and fade, and the Hex ticks those boxes. You can also put it on a Hyzer or Anhyzer Release and it will hold the release angle very nicely. My experience is that the max weight discs are a little more stable than the Hexes around the 170 gram mark. The Hex also has a good amount of glide, and I've been surprised by the distance you can get out of this thing when you power it up and Hyzer flip it. At my local course, there's a short beginner layout, and the Hex is my disc of choice when playing a single disc round here. Mrs. Down Under loves the Hex, probably more so for both accuracy and good distance. The Hex is also forgiving to a nose-up release, which we all do every now and again, and it will still fly fairly straight with a moderate fade at the end. Okay, so who is this disc for? Well, that's an easy one. Just about anybody who can throw a disc. The Hex is extremely beginner friendly, and I'd go as far as saying the Hex and the Envy, the putter, should be on your shopping list if you're into MVP. For beginners, I'd also recommend a Hex in the sub 170 gram weight range. They're a little bit straighter and a little less stable. For more experienced players, the Hex is a great disc for shot shaping on those mid-range approaches. If you don't already know, I can't throw a decent forehand, but the Hex allows me to shape nice left to right backhand turnovers and get that nice flat landing instead of a flaring skip you might get from a forehand. And if you want to power it up, the Hex will Hyzer flip beautifully. Great for those tight tunnel shots, especially the lighter ones. Okay, so how does the Hex compare with other mid-range discs? Well, from the flight test you can see that the Matrix is a smidge more stable and it has less glide. I consistently found that the Hex was flying around 5 meters further than the Matrix. And what about the Axis? Well, as I mentioned earlier, I was not a fan of the Axis. It may have the same flight rating as the Hex, but I found the Axis to be too flippy and a much deeper disc. I actually struggled to get a clean release with the Axis, and for me it would be too easy to turn and burn. And finally, what about the Buzzz? In comparison to the Hex, I'd say the Buzzz has a smidge less glide and also a smidge less turn and fade. The Buzzz holds a line almost dead straight. On most of my throws, the Buzzz deviated less than a meter off the line of the throw. For me, the Hex is a little easier to turn, and it also has a stronger fade at the end of the flight. This could be the gyro effect in play here. Okay, so if you've made it this far, you're wanting to know which disc is the winner in the Buzzz versus Hex showdown. Well, this may be an unpopular choice, but I have to say this is a close one. And in the end, the Buzzz just edges out the Hex and retains its best mid-range crown. At the end of the day, I found that I can consistently throw the Buzzz at the target, and it reliably holds that line with little deviation either side. Not too much turn and not too much fade, and consistent distance. The Hex, in comparison, displays a little more turn and a more stable finish. The extra glide also surprises sometimes, and you'll find yourself blasting past the basket, especially if the disc flips a little more than expected. Maybe with a little bit more seasoning, the Hex might settle down some more, but only time will tell. I'm also looking forward to seeing the Hex in perhaps Proton or other plastic blends. Now, opinions are like buttholes. Everybody has one, and Mrs. Down Under disagrees strongly. She loves the Hex and does not understand the fuss over the Buzzz. So take my conclusion with a grain of salt. Bottom line, the Axiom Hex is a great disc and you should try it out. If you're a beginner, grab yourself an Envy, a Hex and a Crave, and you'll have yourself a top shelf starter pack. There you go. Did anyone predict that I'd pick the Buzzz as the winner? Let me know in the comments, do you agree or disagree? I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, smash that like button, and if you haven't already done so, subscribe to Disc Golf Down Under. Thanks for watching everyone, and we'll see you next time.